morning. So there's Cherrybomb in the background, my trusty steed, and we spent the night in Dartmoor in South Devon, not a million miles from where I live, and we got a beautiful sunrise this morning coming up through the mist or fog, take your pick. Now, this was going to be a video about my overnight stay, which was at a place called Nuns Cross Farm, which is supposedly a very, very haunted location. It's definitely steeped in atmosphere. It's definitely eerie because it's out in the middle of nowhere on the moors, and it's quite desolate. And I joined a ghost tours company, one that I've never gone with before. I won't name them because I don't want to do that on this video. It's not fair. Because video is going to be more about the actual perils of commercial ghost tour company, and kind of like the pros and cons, I suppose, of going to these things. So I was going to be filming. My idea was originally to be filming the actual vigils and things like that, and see if we captured anything paranormal or otherwise. And I've been to about maybe 12 of these things in the past, different companies, all of them, to various different places in the UK. I've been to Wales, I've been places in Herefordshire where I grew up as a kid. Yeah, many counties. And some of them have been compelling, and some of them have been less compelling. And as I'm getting older and maybe more cynical, I'm finding them less compelling as time goes on. And this one, I have to say, was probably the worst, which is why I can't use any of the footage. I took some footage, but it was just, it wouldn't have made a compelling video. So this isn't going to be a compelling video, not in that nature anyway, of an overnight stay in Nuns Cross Farm. I'm going to take a little walk down there in a minute, just to sort of show you the location itself. I just found the whole thing really, really, really boring and irritating. The people I was with, I think they were really, really earnest, really quite sweet. And I don't go into these things expecting that I'm going to see anything. I think to do that is really, really stupid. You're going to set yourself up to fail most times. But I think that there was a lot of subjective stuff. I think that they were focusing more on the wrong kind of stuff. I like to go to these places and really soak up the atmosphere of these things. And try and get a feel for what could be there. Instead, everybody just resorts to these techie gadgets. To me, they've got absolutely no scientific backing whatsoever. And yeah, the whole thing just fell flat for me. But we have got a beautiful sunrise, which I don't know if you can pick up unless I get out of the way there. It is stunning. And it's a nice location. It's just not going to be a very interesting video from a paranormal point of view. But anyway, I'm parked up here, just south of Princetown. It's about a couple of miles out of Princetown. And this car park here kind of seems to be the last place you can park up before you have to go a little bit off the... it's not much off the beaten track. It is just literally a beaten track down to the actual farmhouse. So, take a little walk down there, show you the way to the actual place. Might see if I can... The guys are still there. They stayed overnight, so I don't want to disturb them. I might just go around the house, take a little bit of footage. To be honest, if they're getting up and making lots of noise, I'll probably just leave them to it. So, all right. I'll walk down the track, make it a little boots on the ground video of how to get to Nuns Cross Farm, should you want to, and give a little commentary and go from there. Instead of soaking up the atmosphere, and instead of just sitting in quiet and instead of just trying to ask questions out loud, after about 20 minutes, this one guy who wasn't one of the actual staff running the tour, he was just one of us, just a guy, very excitable, takes out all these techie little gadgets he's brought with him, and the first thing he gets out is this thing called a spirit talker. It's basically an app on a tablet, and that to me just killed the night straight away, because it just seems to come out with spontaneous random words like devil or under the bed or soldier and things like that. And the trouble is with that is everybody jumped on it straight away. You give someone a prompt like soldier, and that took everybody down a path of, oh, were you a soldier? Did you die here? And there were other things that came up, the word party, the name Gwendolyn, things like that. And everybody suddenly started putting all these things together, like Gwendolyn was with this guy who was a soldier, and they were going to go to a party and the party went wrong, and all these kind of things. And to me, I was just thinking, I don't know if this has got anything to do with anything. I don't know if there's any relevance to these things whatsoever. These spirit talking apps, to me, are just a techie equivalent of us sitting around using a magic 8-ball. I mean, I don't know. Let me know if you think there's any kind of truth behind them. I can't honestly say that I find talking to an app and focusing on a tablet whilst you're in a really creepy location all that compelling. Maybe that's just me. There is one major tale of this place, I think. The main one is that of the missing farmer's wife. So I think the building that's there now dates back to something like 1870 or 1870 to 1890, something like that. And the couple that built it on land that was obviously something there beforehand. But there is some story of some farmer's wife, whether or not it was this couple or whether it was the previous couple on the previous building. She went out in the middle of the night to check on cattle on a misty night, disappeared into the fog, and never came home. And apparently you can hear sobbing of a male near the fireplace, or the wails of a woman out on the moor. But if you look into that, there are no records of deaths associated with the moors in this particular part, nor are there any records of any murders taking place or any evidence of any foul play or crimes or anything like that at all. No actual evidence, but still these sort of myths persist. The farm that was built during the 1870s period, the building that actually stands there now, was abandoned sort of vaguely between the 1920s to 1940s, depending on the sources that you look into. And it was used intermittently afterwards as a storage site by the military. And in the 1960s, it seems to have been purchased by a local school. And then they use the site mainly for outdoor pursuits. So they will rent the site out, which is how a lot of people come to do their ghost tours there. I think the school is Mount Kelly, based somewhere near Tavistock, near Dartmoor. And you can go to their website and actually just book the place out. It is expensive. So one of the advantages of going to one of these ghost tour companies is obviously you get to stay in these places and a much cheaper cost that it would cost you to actually do your own solo overnight vigil, which is probably, in my opinion at the moment, the only pro of actually going via one of these ghost tour sites. I mean, that's not fair. There's probably lots of pros. Let's think about the fact that obviously you're going to be meeting people. You know, you might meet some genuine people on these things, and it's a nice little thing to be sharing sort of campfire stories with each other. See who's got the strangest stories. I mean, last night I heard lots of people's tales. They seemed to gravitate towards me. The group kind of all knew each other because they all seemed to have been through this company before. A bit boggy here. And I was one of the few that hadn't actually used this company, and as such I think they just thought, this guy's new, let's all tell him our ghost stories, which was great. It wasn't actually that bad. I wasn't told anything that I haven't experienced myself or found more compelling in other places. But, you know, that's one of the things that I liked about it last night. Just talking to people was nice. The biggest downside, again, was the other people, because it's a tiny place, as you'll see shortly. Absolutely tiny. There are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 rooms all clustered together. And a couple of the rooms are basically just made through separations, little partitions of wooden wall, maybe a little bit of plasterboard. And so as a consequence of that, noise travels really badly. And a few of the people were getting quite giggly. And a lot of murmuring, a lot of chattering going on, loads of background noise. At one point, I did a little bit of an overnight vigil in a room, a real small room upstairs, a bedroom, which was supposedly, according to the people who went in there first checking the place out, really active. I went in there, to be honest with you, to just get half an hour by myself to just get all this background noise out. And it was a very, very quiet room. There was nothing going on in there at all, which honestly I just do not believe that there's any kind of spirit whatsoever or anything paranormal going on in that place. Fog is getting thicker. I think that's a quote from Airplane. Just a few yards away from the farmhouse is a really old stone cross called either Nun's Cross or Seward's Cross, depending on, again, which source you look into. It dates back possibly as far as the 11th century, and could have been used as either a marker to sort of differentiate parish land or property boundaries, maybe even as a monastic route marker between Buckfast and Tavistock Abbeys. Again, I think it's probably where the name Nun's Cross Farm comes from. So as you can see, this dirt track is pretty easy to navigate. This time of year it's not really a problem. Winter probably quite boggy. But if you do drive down this way, remember this is south of Princetown, this is quite an easy path to traverse. And it just becomes more boggy just down towards the actual house itself. At this point I think I'm not far from it. I'm going to go a little bit quiet because the guys are probably still asleep there, and they were all pretty easily spooked. So if I'm creeping around in the early hours of the morning before yeah, they're all up, then they'll probably just come looking for me. So this misty morning is quite typical on Dartmoor. And it does add to the eerie nature of the place. It's good, very still air when it's like this. And I can imagine people getting quite spooked out. This time of year, so we're in August, it's not too bad, you know what I mean? It's like the sun is out, it's warm. It's not been too bad at all weather-wise. So Nuns Cross Farm, in those kind of conditions, was actually quite pleasant. But you can imagine, if you're here in the winter time, storms raging, really thick fog, or just lashing down with rain, or even in winter when you're snowed in, it could be quite a scary place to be. And again, I think that's where a lot of the legend steeps from. Again, I'm not taking anything from this place in terms of its actual feel and the atmosphere of the place. It's really, really quite eerie in a really quite beautiful kind of way. But that does not make a compelling ghost story that can't be debunked, in my skeptic mind. Just coming up to the farmhouse now. It'll start coming out of the fog in a minute, which would be a cool shot if nothing else. Scariest thing for me yesterday, walking back to the van at 2 AM through a field of cows. That was scary. Don't like cows. So I think you've probably deduced that I am quite skeptical by nature. Some people could mistake that for cynicism though. But the fact is, I can't just out and out believe. I find things compelling. I'm not coming to places like this to poke fun. I come to places like this to be part of it and to try and get a good experience. Try and find something, answers to something, I don't know. But more often than not, I end up in a situation where, if anything, my skepticism gets reinforced, which is a shame because you want to find that one compelling piece of evidence one day, or have one of those experiences which actually solidifies a belief in something. I wouldn't do things like this and come out of my way and spend the money if I didn't want to believe. And I do want to believe, definitely. But sadly, for me, Nuns Cross Farm doesn't particularly do anything for me in that regards. But it's still a very, very nice place, as you can see. Quite eerie. Probably be a really good place to be by yourself. I have seen several YouTube videos of people doing overnight vigils there themselves. Some of them clearly faking stuff. Pointless. You're going to lose credibility. It's not what I'm interested in at all. Personally, I think the best thing you could do is come here by yourself on a wintry night. Just sit there quietly, soak it all up and see if anything happens. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll do that in the future, who knows. So I feel this has been a bit of a negative video. I'm sorry about that, but sometimes you just got to call it like you find it, and it can't always go the way you think it's going to go, or have a positive outlook. But it's been a nice place to come visit. Always nice to come to Dartmoor. It is a beautiful place. Nice place to wake up to a misty sunrise. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you like it, please do give me a like or a dislike, whatever you want to do. Free world. Been nice picking up a few subscribers along the way already, rather unexpected. But if you want a subscribe, there will be more of these kind of things to come. Hoping to get a little bit more polished and refined as time goes on. This is still very much a grassroots YouTube channel. But yeah, thank you for watching. I also like to see some of your comments. So if you want to write something down there, somewhere down there, please do. I'll try and respond to them if I can. Keep them clean. So yeah, thanks very much for watching Wayne's Weird World. Right, I'm going back for a Starbucks. Signing off.